today is called Daily Word Through Song. And during COVID, I live in Sarasota, and when COVID hit, the Unity Church closed its doors to everybody except about 8 or 10 of the same people for like a year. And on Wednesday, because they could still stream out, so on Wednesday nights, they had this event called Music and Inspiration, because the minister at the time, Susie Shadle, is also a musician. So she got to play flute, and whoever was a musician got to do the music for Music and Inspiration. But the whole program was about 45 minutes. It was centered around whatever the daily word was for the day. So once COVID hit, there was just me and another musician. So sometimes I was there 2 or 3 or even 4 times a month. And I had to come up with 4 songs. There were 5 spaces, but one song we always repeated. And so as a result, I had a lot of songs that would go with different daily words already, but often I would just create these little songs, and some of them were pretty good. So, this year, 2024, is the 100th anniversary of Daily Word magazine. So, I decided that, maybe I'll put together a whole program for the centers when I'm the guest minister. So what I want to do first is read you the daily word we can put it up, for the word protected. And let's say the affirmation together. I feel protected by the presence of God expressing through others. But this is the only one I'll read, and I don't think they're going to read the daily word today. So we get to have a different one. This was from February 3rd, 2021. Challenging or lonely times might leave me struggling to feel the presence of God. In moments when I find myself besieged with fear or anxiety, I help myself by calling upon the power of my faith. With faith, I quicken my belief that the presence of God is within me and all people. I pay close attention to signs of the divine in the world, such as people helping others through service and generosity. I am grateful for those times when someone came to my aid, lots of times. I feel safe knowing God is within all loving impulses towards service and help. That message has been getting out quite a bit these days. Loving impulses towards service and help. I see evidence of the divine when I look to others. I remember that the kingdom of God is all around me. It's within too. And I feel protected. So this song, Protected, actually, it has a lot of the same words as the song Surrounded, but I gave it a completely different application. And it's kind of like a metaphysical Buddy Holly song. I am protected by the presence of the Spirit coming through as you. I am protected by the presence of the Spirit of the angels too. The light of God surrounds me. The love of God enfolds me too. The power of God protects me as the presence of God watches over me. I quicken my belief with the faith of God as the presence watches over me. I am stricken with relief as I witness joy coming through your heart as me. Standing in appreciation as I feel the hand of God in mine. Commanding as a co-creation, 'cause I know that it is all divine. For God is all there is, and God is everywhere, expressing as everything. I am protected by the presence presence of the Spirit coming through as you. I am protected by the presence of the Spirit of the angels too. The light of God surrounds me. The love of God enfolds me too. The power of God protects me as the presence of God watches over me. The power of God protects me as the presence of God watches over me. Let's say that affirmation one more time. I feel protected by the presence of God expressing through others. Okay, so now we have a star I'm going to talk about. We can move. And it's Martha Smock. Is anybody familiar with Martha Smock? Well, Martha Smock was the editor of Daily Word magazine for more than 35 years. Now, there were other editors, but she was like the main mama. And so I'm just going to give you a little bit of history about her. I think she deserves that. In the 100th anniversary, she was born in Kansas City, Missouri, and her interest in unity began at a very early age because her mom was a close friend of the founders of Unity. Who was that? Charles and Fillmore, right. And Mrs. Smock attended classes taught by Charles Fillmore, and after her college years, she was invited to join the staff of Unity School as a letter writer in Silent Unity. How many people here have reached out to Silent Unity in the past? Yeah, I have too. And I've had other people do it as well. Mrs. Smock subsequently served as an instructor in the letter writing department, and in 1944, she was named the editor of Daily Word, first published in, what's 100 years ago? 1924. She was also the writer of 3 books on healing after being healed herself of cancer. Daily Word's format consists of brief daily meditations and monthly articles on various spiritual topics. Its subscribers are from all walks of life and range in age from early teens to, well, this says octogenarians, but I think, what's the one for the people in the 90s, right, 100s? Mrs. Smock believed the magazine's language, which is simple and direct and, importantly, non-denominational, and that's contributed to its success. She described Daily Word as, quote, a magazine of today. Due to our close association with Silent Unity, we are aware of the needs being expressed through prayer requests and correspondences. We endeavor to meet these needs through Daily Word messages. And she continues, many, many readers continue to comment on how remarkable it is that each message seems to be speaking directly to their special situation. And she also says, Daily Word is what it was intended to be in the beginning. It serves as a daily reminder that nothing is hopeless or impossible, and reaffirms that we are spiritual beings who can meet any situation happily, effectively, and constructively, end quote. So let's have a hand for Martha. Okay, so we're going to move on to the word. Let's see, we move on to the light of God. So sometimes the Daily Word is more than one word, the light of God. And let's do the affirmation. I am the light of God. Okay, so, and I have a song that I actually wrote in 2003 that just worked with this. And it repeats a little bit, so I don't think I have the word. Yeah, I didn't give the words, but I am the light of the living God. Spirit moves through me. You are the light of the living God, and joy is our destiny. I am the love of a giving God. Spirit moves through me. You are the love of a giving God, and peace is our destiny. So we got joy and peace. Okay. I am the light of the living God. Spirit moves through me. You are the light of the living God, and joy is our destiny. I am the love of a giving God. Spirit moves through me. You are the love of a giving God, and peace is our destiny. I'm traveling through eternity, unraveling in my humanity. The darkest night and the deepest pain bring me back to the light again. I am the light. I am the light of the living God. Spirit moves through me. You are the light of the living God. Joy is our destiny. I'm traveling through eternity, unraveling in my humanity. The darkest night and the deepest pain bring me back to the light again and again and again and again. We forget, then we remember. We forget, then we remember. We forget, then we remember the truth of who we really are. I am the light of the living God. Spirit moves through me. You are the light of the living God. And joy is our destiny. Peace is our destiny. And love is our ecstasy. Let's do the affirmation one more time. I am the light of God expressing. Yeah, that's true. We all are. And you know, my name Elaine means light. And I was told that ever since I was probably forever that I've been around. Okay, so let's move on to the second. Forgive. Okay, yeah. So I'm going to tell you the story of this. Something happened. I just wrote this. I write a lot of music. I swim almost every day, and I write a lot of music in the pool. And I was going to see somebody that kind of, could be interpreted as did me wrong, and it wasn't very comfortable. And so I just decided, I'm just going to let it go. I'm just going to forgive. And so, what do we have? Let's do that. As I forgive, I am forgiven. And I just got the idea that, okay, so, you can say I forgive, but for me, when it comes to forgiveness, it's typically, first I have to be willing to forgive. And sometimes we're not ready, So I'll establish a willingness, and then in different situations through my life, I guess I forgave my grandfather. Okay, things like that. But this one, I just immediately decided that I was going to turn it over. So I'm going to teach you the chorus. You are great singers, by the way. So it goes like this. I turn it over, I turn it over, I turn it over to the one. Let's try that. I turn it over, I turn it over, I turn it over to the one. And the second part goes, I turn it over, I turn it over. A new day has begun. Let's try that part. I turn it over, I turn it over. A new day has begun. So it says to the one, a new day has begun. Let's try that whole chorus together. I turn it over, I turn it over, I turn it over to the one. I turn it over, I turn it over. A new day has begun. Forgiveness leads to gratitude, a willingness in attitude. Forgiveness can bring us so much more, to give and receive as we did before. I turn it over, I A new day has begun. Good job. Let's do one more time. As I forgive, I am forgiven. Yeah. And that one didn't take long. As soon as I turned it over, we have these things that we hang on to, and that's one way. You don't have to wait for 30 years to, oh yeah, I forgave him. It says, oh, here you go, God, you can have this. That worked. That was a good one. So the next daily word is called breakthrough. And so let's do that affirmation. A breakdown is often followed by a breakthrough. So when I was walking on that beach and I was singing, Here Comes the Sun, and all of a sudden, I had a little breakthrough. It was like an epiphany, And so I didn't have to have a breakdown to have a breakthrough. You can just aha. But most of the time, we got to hit bottom first, and it's got to be so uncomfortable that we also can turn it over, and that can be the beginning of a breakthrough. We break through the bottom. We hit bottom, we break through, and then there's a whole new ceiling. So this song is called Breakthrough. This was one of the ones I wrote for Unity of Sarasota with Susie. Okay. And let's see here. I used to be married to an oldies DJ. That was a 7-year process. And as a result, I have somehow embodied doo-wop. Breakthrough. There was a breakdown in my expectations with a face frown. I was feeling desperation, looking for that shiny pearl. Then I found my inner world, deep inside and through and through. And as I entered sacred space and feeling centered in this place, there was a breakthrough, revealing what is true, a sacred. I got a new point of view. There was a breakthrough, breaking through and through. There was a breakdown. Everything went wrong, and with a face frown, I began to write this song, looking for that shiny pearl. And then I found my inner world, deep inside and through and through. And as I entered sacred space and feeling centered in this place, there was a breakthrough, revealing what is true, a sacred breakthrough. I got a new point of view. There was a breakthrough, breaking through and through. There's some confusion, the seeming limitation. It's just an illusion, the sense of separation. We're always changing and growing into more. Life's a rearranging metaphor. It took a shakedown to bring me back to me. This sacred breakdown has really set me free, 'cause I found my inner world. I'm a radiating shiny pearl, deep within and through and through. And as I entered sacred space and feeling centered in this place, there was a breakthrough, revealing what is true, a sacred breakthrough. I got a new point of view. I am a breakthrough, and you are too, breaking through and through, breaking through and through, breaking through and through. Let's try it. A breakdown is often followed by a breakthrough. Okay. So this one, this next one, guidance. Guidance. So this says 2020. I wrote this in 2020. So this was during COVID, and someone very famous got COVID, and people didn't really feel sorry for him, you know, because he never had any empathy for anybody else. So anyway, that idea of empathy just came into me, and I made this little song called Feel Into Your Heart. So let's try the affirmation. I follow the guidance of my heart. Yeah. So let's put our hand on our heart so we can kind of stimulate that energy. And the chorus goes like this. Have a little empathy, have a little sympathy, feel into your heart. Try that. Have a little empathy, have a little sympathy, feel into your heart. That's where our divinity reaches through infinity when we feel into the heart. Let's try that part. That's where our divinity reaches through infinity when we feel into the heart. Let's do the whole thing now. Have a little empathy, have a little sympathy, feel into your heart. To our divinity. That's where our divinity reaches through infinity when we feel into the heart. Good job. Now is the time for the changes to be made, right from wherever we are. What we hold in mind brings about in kind when we feel into the sacred heart. Have a little empathy, have a little sympathy, feel into your heart. That's where our divinity reaches through infinity when we feel into the heart. The heart knows the way, it's the truth and the light. It's our guiding star deep within. The mind tells us what, the heart gives us why. No better time than now to begin to have a little empathy, have a little sympathy, feel into your heart. That's where our divinity reaches through infinity when we feel into the heart. When we feel into the heart. When we feel into the sacred heart. I follow the guidance of my heart. So important. Okay. Beautiful job. Beautiful job. Okay, so now we have another. Resilience. Let's do the affirmation. I am adaptable and resilient. So, I used to have an adopted Jewish mom. Her name was Delane, rhymes with Elaine. And she was from the Bronx, but she owned a beautiful 189-acre mountaintop retreat in northwestern New Jersey called Mount Eden. And the first time I went there in 1992, it was hard for me to leave. And then she had the Kindred Spirits Fair every year, and I just stayed and got on the board and promoted it and just did whatever I could. And then in 1998, we were so close that we adopted each other as spiritual mother and daughter. And I used to go over. She was so generous with her wisdom and her time, and I'd go over and stay over. We'd sit at the kitchen table. I'd have my guitar sometimes, and we'd just sometimes play the same song over and over if I was learning it. And she was just there. She was so great. And one day, probably in the early 2000s, I was suffering over something. You know, it wasn't the way I wanted it to be. And that's all suffering, not wanting it to be other than how it is, right? That's Byron Katie. And so, very sweetly and kindly, she said to me, well, you have to adapt and adjust. Adapt and adjust. And so then, a few years later, something really, really, really sad and awful happened between her and one of her kids, her real kids. And I never saw her cry before. She was crying. She was upstairs, and I was staying over, and yeah, she was so upset. And every morning when I would stay with her, and also she bought a house in Sarasota, so I got to see her in the winter. I got to see her in the summer, and I would always make the coffee, right? And so I was up early the next morning, and I made her coffee. She loved that. And she came down, and I gave her a big hug, and she loved hugs. She used to have a bumper sticker on her car that said, "Hugs are the best exercise." So I gave her a hug, and I said, "How are you? How you doing?" She goes, "I'm just going to have to adapt and adjust." She sounded just like that. And I'm thinking, wow, she listens to her own advice. That was amazing to me. And then years go by. Well, this says 2019. So we go from 2000, probably 7 or 8, to 2019. And then I get inspired to write the song, Adapt and Adjust. Okay, and I'm going to teach you the chorus. It goes like this. Let me have it. Adapt and adjust, adjust and adapt. Acceptance is the key. Adapt and adjust, adjust and adapt. Acceptance for you and me. Let's try those 4 lines. Adapt and adjust, adjust and adapt. Acceptance is the key. Yeah. Adapt and adjust, adjust and adapt. Acceptance for you and me. Good job. God grants me the serenity and courage to make a change. God grants me the wisdom to know when to play that game. Here we go. Adapt and adjust, adjust and adapt. Acceptance is the key. Adapt and adjust, adjust and adapt. Acceptance for you and me. For every beginning there's a brand new end. Even if we're losing or gaining a friend, with every beginning there's a brand new end. I accept what Spirit sends. Here we go. Adapt and adjust, adjust and adapt. Acceptance is the key. Adapt and adjust, adjust and adapt. Acceptance for you and me. One more time. Adapt and adjust, adjust and adapt. Acceptance is the key. Oh yeah. Adapt and adjust, adjust and adapt. Acceptance is the key. Acceptance is the key. Acceptance is the key. And last one. Acceptance is the key. Oh, somebody put a major chord there. That was nice. I heard a major. All right. I am adaptable and what? Resilient. Yes. Okay. So we're going to move on. This is actually the last song of the program, and it's on the word enthusiasm. You know, it means spirit within. Enthusiasm. And so, how many people remember COVID? I'm sure we all remember it. And how many people had mixed feelings about it? It wasn't all terrible, was it? No. I know. And right in the beginning of COVID, my husband took my bike. See, I couldn't, YMCA closed, I couldn't swim. Well, I could swim, but I wasn't swimming yet. I was doing Pilates, reformer classes, and aerobics. And I couldn't do that anymore. And so my husband took my bike, and he took it to the bike shop, and he got new tires, he got it all tuned up, and I had only ridden it like maybe 5 times in the past 20 years, but in the 80s and 90s, I used to take my bicycle with me, my Peugeot U08, which I don't have anymore. But he got the bike out, and I would be riding the bike, and I live in a place called Arlington Park in Sarasota, and there's a beautiful park with a pond and a fountain, and 2 dog parks. One for big dogs and one for medium and small dogs. And so I'm riding my bike, and I had a bell, and I'm like riding my bike, I'm going, no mask, right, because I'm outside. Good morning, good morning. And I'm like, oh, what a cute dog. So, and I'm like this crazy lady riding the bike saying, good morning, ling, 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 I'll come behind you. And then I would ride on the streets, or it was just in the neighborhood where it was shady. I can't really be out in the sun, so I would find the shady streets, the ones that, the shady streets were the ones that went north and south. I could find the shady ones and then ride into the park. And so it was just so amazing to be with myself and my own thoughts. Nobody else really was around me. And I wrote so many songs on that bike during COVID, or beginnings of songs, parts of songs. I would stop and get my iPhone out and sing it into the iPhone, so I wouldn't forget. And I do that in the pool now. We have a pool, so every day I'd ride the bike for an hour, and then I'd go swim. And so then we get, for the daily word that sometime in 2020, enthusiasm. So what does enthusiasm do? Enthusiasm energizes me. And yeah, it was a really amazing time of the earth regenerating and us regenerating and having that. I mean, for me, like for the past 40-something years, I'm like driven to I have to sing somewhere, and I couldn't make any plans. I couldn't make any plans except to ride the bike and go to we have a pool, and go to my swimming pool and just be alone with my thoughts. And so much creativity came through that time for me. And so this one is called Lifted and Feeling Free. Lifted and Feeling Free. And that'll be your part when it comes around. And when I lived in West Palm Beach for 4 years for my husband's job. I was always homesteaded in Sarasota, but I lived in West Palm with him. It was supposed to be 1 to 2 years, but it ended up being 4 years, and it ended up being a complete divine appointment, because that's where I found a center and became a Science of Mind practitioner. There wasn't a center in Sarasota that was open to me, but this one was. And then a couple of days before my husband retired in 2018, I got my license as a Science of Mind practitioner. So that wouldn't have happened if we didn't move. And there was a wonderful group of women that would meet once a month, and it's called the Women's Spiritual Circle. And any woman could be part of it. Now we do Zooms, but we would meet once a month, and people would put ideas into a hat, like questions, and then somebody would pick out whatever question there was, and then people who wanted to talk about it. I always had something to say. And so then once COVID hit, that turned into a weekly 45-minute phone call, and then somebody figured out how to do Zoom. So now we have every week on Tuesday, from 11 to about 12. Yeah. And if you want to know more about it, I'll let you know. So there's a minister named Reverend Sandy Marchman. She's an older lady, and so when it was on the phone, she says, gratitude invokes the law of increase. And she's about to do a little prayer, so I'm like, I write it down, because I'd never heard it like that before. I mean, I know what we focus on gets bigger. The law of increase is the law of attraction, what we focus on. So gratitude makes more. Focus on that, focus on anything, and it gets bigger. But gratitude invokes the law of increase. So this song came out of there. It's kind of like a little country song. When I record it, I'll have some fiddles in it. Gratitude invokes the law of increase. Gratitude brings me inner peace. I'm knowing this truth enthusiastically. I'm lifted and I'm feeling free. Try that with me. I'm lifted and I'm feeling. One more. I'm lifted and I'm feeling free. Joy invokes the law of increase. Focus on the good intent and then release. I am lifted and I'm feeling free. I'm loving my life enthusiastically. Love invokes the law of increase. Loving myself brings me inner peace. I'm knowing this truth enthusiastic. Come on. I'm lifted and I'm feeling free. Willingness invokes the law of increase. Focus on the good intent and then release. I am lifted and I'm feeling free. I'm living my life enthusiastically. Gratitude invokes the law of increase. Gratitude brings me inner peace. I'm knowing this truth enthusiastically. Come on. I'm lifted and I'm feeling free. And I'm riding that bike. I'm lifted and I'm feeling. Come on the bike with me. I'm lifted and I'm feeling free. I'm lifted and I'm feeling free. I'm lifted and I'm feeling enthusiastically. I'm lifted and I'm feeling free. I'm lifted and I'm feeling free. One more. I'm lifted and I'm feeling free. Good job, everybody. Let's say our affirmation. Enthusiasm energizes me. It does.
Hi. If this video has inspired you, opened your heart, expanded your consciousness, filled you with hope, empowered you in some way, we encourage you to support what we offer here at Unity Center of Peace by making your donation now. And thank you.